Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. I know I said in my last planting of my native plants I wasn't going to plant anymore, but I was at a garden center recently, a new garden center I'd never been to before. It's Floral Acres near Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and they had a great selection of perennials, annuals, and native plants still left there, and of course on sale because garden centers are trying to close out their stock this time of year here. So what I picked up is this Culver's root. This is a plant I've been interested in for a while. It's kind of hard to hold here because I got these things flapping in my face, but it's a really nice, it's actually a North American native plant. It's not native to Saskatchewan, which is where I am in southern Saskatchewan, zone 3. But it's native up to our neighboring province of Manitoba and east across most of Canada and the US. It can be grown in zones 3 to 9, which is perfect for me. I'm in zone 3, so that works well. And it likes a full sun area. It can handle some shade in the afternoon in areas that get really, really hot, like down in the south, like when you're in your zones 8 and 9 and that. But it also likes moist conditions, so it could be a little bit difficult to place and grow in your garden. From what I've read, it will tolerate some drier conditions, but would prefer something moist but well drained. It doesn't want to sit right in water. So you can see it has these large stems coming off of it, and it has really nice leaves that are whirled around the stem. So they come out kind of lance-shaped leaves around the stem in a circle like that. But it has these large spikes that'll grow, and this plant can get up like 5 to 7 feet tall when the bloom spikes are going. And they're usually in a white to a light blue color. The tag on this shows kind of a purpley tone, but they look like they're coming in white, so we'll see what I wind up with when it fully blooms. And the blooms open from the top down. And I've always thought this would be a nice plant. It's native, not completely to my area, but it's native close to my area, which I think is always good to try and provide those more native plants in your spaces. And this is my pollinator area. So pollinators are more adapted to areas, or more adapted to plants that have grown in your area. So the closer I can get to that, the better, I think. And then the nice spiky plants, I think, are always a nice thing to have. They add a little bit of impact, kind of a bit of a statement or a punch to a flower border. So I always think they're nice to have that just interspersed with your other plants. So what I had been kind of thinking to do with this plant was to put it over here, because I thought that nice spiky punctuation would be nice in this space right here. But when I got thinking about it, I think that area is going to be a little bit drier. It might be hard to tell, but my yard actually comes in a sloping curve around past this planting space and drains out my yard. So when we have snow melt in the spring or heavy rains, the water kind of washes through this way. So anywhere lower on this side of me is a better space to have this, because that's where the moisture is going to sit a little bit as it drains out. There's actually a little bit of a lower spot right off to my left. So I think that's going to be a better spot for this. It will be right in beside this speedwell here. So it'll look nice. It'll have this punchy spot here. Then we'll have some larger plants, and then I'm going to put it down over towards that side. So right now I have a lily in the area where it's going to go. So I'll have to pull those out and I'll move them. I'll put them over here. And then, so that'll be the Culver's root. I'll stick it over there where the lily is, where the ground just tends to be just a little bit of a lower spot, and the water actually stays there a minute before it moves out of the yard. So I think that'll be a good spot for it, and a convenient spot for me where we're having our dry spells to be able to just run a hose over and give it a drink, make sure it gets a good drink a couple times a week. So that's my plan for the Culver's root. Then I'll move the lily that's there. It's just a border lily. It came free in a package. I can't remember what it is, for years. So I'll just move it over here. It's nice and pink, and it'll add a nice punch of color over here and some larger, bolder leaves and that. And then I also picked up this this coneflower, and this is from the, what is it, powwow wildberry. So I thought it was a really nice, fun color on this coneflower. Coneflowers are a great native plant in North America. They grow wild, grow native here. Again, zones 3 to 9. And this one grows about 50 to 60 centimeters high. So it's got some good height on it. It'll spread about 40 to 60 centimeters. So we're going to get a nice, about 2 foot tall and wide, give or take a little bit, plant here. It has these nice open blooms, large blooms, and it's really nice. Butterflies really like that type of a bloom. So they'll like to land on this. It's like a big landing pad. It has these bright yellow centers, yellowy orange, which is also attractive. Bees really like to find plants like this. Butterflies are attracted to that color. So it'll be great to draw the pollinators in. This is I don't know if I said this, kind of what I coined my pollinator garden over here. So I think this will be a really nice addition, and I'll pop it in. I could use, right now I have some bachelor's button that's mostly filling out the space here. I have a great Asclepias here. I have just a general regular onion that just grows and sets seed here every year, and I don't do anything with it. I just let it do that. Pollinators love onion flowers, so I have that there. And I have a few other smaller, lower growing plants, but I don't have any like good kind of statement plants over in this space. There are some asters, but they're again a kind of a lower mat except for their blooms, which come a few inches higher. So I think this will give a little bit of height in here and a bit more of a statement with color. So I'm looking forward to this. Both of these plants, the Culver's root will start to bloom kind of late spring and through summer. The echinacea or coneflower will bloom kind of beginning of summer and into fall. So it'll give me some nice bloom variation and contrast in this bed and help to keep the blooms going throughout the season. So I think these are great additions. I don't normally just add one plant, but these both get a good size and I don't have a lot of space in this bed. So I'm going to do one of each. And my experience with the echinacea or coneflower is that it will spread out over time, drop seed and multiply. And the Culver's root, I don't think I told you how large it gets, but its spread is 75 to 90 centimeters. So it's going to spread out and fill a large space. So it'll do its job. It'll just take some time to do that. So the first job I need to do here is move this lily, and then I think once I get it moved, while I'm working over there, I'll put the coneflower in, and then I'll come back and pop the Culver's root in after. So let's get planting. It's a little bit tricky to see because there's some dill popped up in front of it here, but there's that lily that I'm going to move. So I'm gonna have to pop this out and move the lily. I've got some sort of an oxalis here, I think, some sort of a weedy thing, so I'll pull that out of my way. Just move a few plants. And then I don't know if you can see, but why don't we go over here? I planted some foxgloves here this spring, and they're starting to bloom. So. See the foxglove in there. That one's going to bloom pink. And then, unfortunately, this one, I didn't judge the height very well because it's in behind a daylily. It's a beautiful purple. And then there's a couple more right over here. There's one back there and one right there that's about to bloom. It looks like it's going to be yellow. So I'm going to get some foxglove flowers. I'm really happy to see that back in this corner here. But let's get to this this lily and these weeds that are popping up around it. So I tend to let the dill go here because pollinators do like it. It attracts ladybugs, bees, flies, wasps. But I'm going to move it out of my way here. A few get pulled right up, some I just kind of cut off there. And I'm going to pull out this clover or whatever it is here that grows. I don't need that. Get this out of our way. There's a little poppy here. I just scatter seeds around in the late winter and when the poppies bloom, so we'll just pop that out as well. And then push back the mulch here. So I have another lily back here, is a little bit larger lily. This is a yellow one, and then this is the border lily. I have some small babies cropping up around it. So I'm not actually sure which lily they are. Hopefully got the bulbs off of this. That's what we need. One. The bulbs. Let's see. These little ones have their bulbs. Here's some more. So you can see we're in the middle of a real drought right now, and the soil is super dry. It's been over 30 degrees Celsius for over a week now, I think, but it's cooled down right now. And I think we're going to be overcast with forest fire smoke and clouds for the next few days, so it's a good time to get some planting in. And I'll have to really soak this area down and mulch it well for this plant, but I think it'll be okay in here from what I've read. So I've tried to get past the drip line of this tree, and I actually want to put the Culver's root back a little bit further. And I'm not worried about putting it in front of these foxgloves because they're just an annual foxglove here. They won't come back next year. So I've dug down pretty deep there. It's nice and loosened. Everything underneath is loosened, and you can see right now the soil level is. I'm going to put this about at the soil level of the normal hole here. So I've just gone and grabbed some really rough compost and some leaves. Some are more broken down than others. And normally I don't amend my planting hole a whole lot, just because you want the roots to reach out and through the whole area. But I know with this being a tough native plant, it's going to have really strong roots that are going to push through and move around. And I'd like to I've dug a very wide hole compared to the pot size, and I'm going to mix some of this in with the native soil just to help it to maintain just a little bit more moisture. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle some of this in there. Some of these leaves are a bit larger than I would have liked, but this will break down over time. But I just want to just really get this worked deep in here to really get this to be retaining some moisture in this area. And I do have Monarda back here, which is bee balm, which likes a moist space, and it grows quite well. just to my left a little bit. So I do think there's enough moisture for those types of plants to grow, but this will just help it to hold a little bit for the next, for this season anyways, while these things break down. And just help it to get established. And then this will probably, as this breaks down, the leaves break down a little bit, I may need to come in and add a little bit of soil in next spring. But we'll just see. It won't hurt it to be in a little bit of a low spot because the soil does drain here. It's a little bit of a low spot. I'll just help it to collect a bit of moisture. You can see it has very nice roots on it. Set it down in there. Look at that contrast. This type of plant with the lilies and the daylilies, strappy leaves there. To move it over just a little bit here. That should give it lots of room to fill in this space. Just have a really nice lush looking area. So pull back some of this mulch that I have here. And then I'll take the rest of these leaves that I had, put them on top. And water it in really, really well. And I'll be giving this lots of water for the first season, just to get it really established here. And then I won't be watering it quite as much in the coming years, but this is definitely one of those plants that I'll be making sure doesn't dry out completely during our hot, dry July and August. I think this little stand here still would look nice in here with this plant growing up through it, so I'm gonna pop it back in if I can. There, so I think that'll look really good like that. So this grows and it gets comfortable here and kind of shoots up. That'll be great. I'm gonna actually get more water for it because that area is so dry right now. And I'll get some more leaves to mulch on top of it as well. Okay, so I've watered it in really well. Put about 3 gallons of water on it. I managed to reach down into my leaf pile and get some really nice rotted down leaves. So I don't want them right up against the stem of the plant, but I'll try and give this a really good mulch. So pull it away from the stems. A really nice mulch, and I'll water that down, and that should really help to keep some moisture there and protect it while it's settling in. So that's the Culver's root. So I guess I didn't do it quite in the order I said I was going to. But I'm going to go now. I have the lily I dug out, and I'll get the echinacea in, and I'll get this project wrapped up. So here's the area I'm thinking about putting these 2 plants. So I showed you before, there's the Asclepias right there. This is a decorative crabapple, spring snow, something like that. And then the Asclepias, there's that onion that's in with it. And then there's some, I don't know what it's called, stachys or something. There's a little bit of a dry, loving little perennial, not super hardy here. It's tucked in there with gray leaves. And then I have some yarrow in the corner. There's a honeysuckle on a trellis there, and then there's a little bit of iris in the front. The rest is all just kind of annuals and self-seeded things. Oh, and the asters. I don't think I said the asters. One kind of right there, and then there's another one off to the side. So I do have just a potted container there. You see the straggly leaves there. So I'll probably move that, and I think I'm going to pop the lily back in there. I think it'll look nice up against the shed there with the asters in front. And I think I can pop it in there. There is some fritillaries. Yeah, so there's some fritillaries there. They don't like to be super disturbed, but I'll try and get those lily bulbs in. Lily bulbs will actually pull themselves a little bit deeper if they're not deep enough, so I think I can get away with kind of tucking them in there. And then I'll put the echinacea right in this kind of empty-ish spot here. There are some zinnias and bachelor's buttons and things, but not worried about them. They're annuals, so I'll just pop the echinacea in and go from there. So I think I'll start with the lily because those bulbs are out and exposed right now. I'm just going to cut the bachelor's buttons back. They'll flush out again, and then that gets them kind of out of our way. So there, now you can probably see better what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'll grab that pot out of the way and then we'll get the lilies in. So you can see I still have the stems from the fritillaries here, so I'm just gonna pull those out. There's some mulch. So the fritillaries come up in early spring, and they have their show, and then they like leave this empty spot. So if I put the lilies here, the lilies will come up after the fritillaries have kind of done their thing, and they'll fill in this space, and I want to stick a pot there. So like I said, this is a shorter border lily, but there's not a lot of height in these asters that I have here. I can't remember what they are. And they bloom in the fall. So this will give the lilies their time, and then the asters will come in after. So this is an alpine aster. I found the tag while I was working back here. I'm just gonna deadhead the lilies while I'm in here. Make them look a little nicer. They're done blooming for now, but they're a really nice, deep, pinky red lily. The contrast, they'll set off the blooms of the echinacea. It'll just be that little pinky color. You have the yarrow, and then you'll have the coneflower. And then the Asclepias, it'll all have that kind of same tone to it and same color in various tones. That'll be nice. There's lots of water on that right now. Okay, so let's tackle this coneflower echinacea. So we'll go just over a little bit to the side where we were. Okay, and I think coneflower would look really nice right in about where that bachelor's button is there. So I'm going to pop this one out. They're very pretty, but they're just annuals, so they can come out of my way. I'm going to cut this one back if I found my clippers. So you can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, so I do have some zinnias in here as well, like I said, these are what are they? Sahara raspberry is what this one is. Then there's a yellow one back there. I think they're all the Sahara raspberry though, so I'm not sure about that. There's kind of a whitey yellow one over here. But again, those are annuals, so they won't stay. And then there's this is what I was talking about, like, oh here, rose campion, Lychnis coronaria. I'll show you the tag. It's a very nice plant, but it's only semi-hardy here. So it likes kind of drier conditions. It has that kind of rosy pink bloom on it, but most of the time I find it's just the foliage there, which I like that foliage. So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking in here, I might bump that zinnia up, put this in here. I'd actually like to move this, but like I said, they don't come back well, so I don't really want to. That one has stayed here for several years. I don't want to mess with it too much. But I'm going to move this zinnia real quick. Not an ideal time to be moving things, but if I lose a zinnia, I'm not too worried. And the lilies are pretty hardy, so just put you up here. You see just how dry our soil is right now. I've been putting water on this several times a week. We're just not getting any rain or moisture. Overcast today. Most of it I think is from forest fires, but talking about maybe getting rain tonight, that'd be nice. Oh, Mr. Worm. Let's move you so I don't hit you with the shovel. So echinacea likes drier conditions and full sun, and it'll be getting that here, so that'll be great. Very happy in this space. I've just really roughed up the soil here, and I'm not going to add anything to this hole at all. Echinacea will be just happy like that. And that looks like about the right depth. So I really like these flowers. This one's getting a little bit older, but you can see how they really reflex down on these echinacea, which I think is a really nice look. It has a good healthy root system, but it's not pot bound, which when you're buying plants at the end of the season sometimes you can find. So it's nice to see these in good shape. Lift it just a little bit. And echinacea has great seed heads that are very attractive too, so you can leave them standing. Birds like them. the plants will keep blooming even if you leave some seed pods on it, and it'll just give some winter interest as well if the snow line doesn't cover it in your area. It's a good tough plant, which sometimes right in this area the wind blows in the winter and it can be hard for plants to take, but I think that Echinacea will do well there. So get some water on that and I think that'll look great. So I got two great new plants into my pollinator garden here. One that likes moisture conditions that I've gotten down where the water kind of runs through when we do get water here, and one that's up on the kind of more raised area, pushed back a little bit so it'll stay a little bit drier. So I think the coneflower, the echinacea, will look really nice. I'm gonna have a lot of pinks in here, so I might need to find some annuals with some yellows or something to pop in there next year. But I think that's going to look really nice, a really nice combination of heights and textures with the leaves and the flowers, different types of flowers. And then over here, the same thing. I think it's just going to, just keeps filling in this area. It's going to look really nice as these grow and get larger and stronger. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this area, get a couple new additions, and maybe it gave you some inspiration for some pollinator plants for your yard. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.